with just a bit of gilding on the outside, so you can easily be fooled. But we'll see whether Mike Mackay puts it in his mouth and bites it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure when they're going to do the presentation. It's quite possible they'll do it after the women's eights and before the men's eights. But now we stay with the quadruple sculls, and this time it's the men's version. Out on the far side, Germany in lane number 1. And the Russian Federation, just one of their Olympic gold medalists in this particular quartet, Alexei Svidin. That's a somewhat surprising victory. France occupying lane number 3. And next to them will be the Czech Republic with 3 men. Now this is quite interesting. 3 men who took silvers in the Athens Olympic Games. Then they mucked around and they put Jolacek and Chalupa in the boat. It didn't work, and they're now back to pretty well the confirmation that they had when they got the silver medal in Athens. And then Italy and Romania to complete the lineup here in the men's quadruple sculls.
Do you notice, David, how many new Romanian crews are appearing on the outer edges of the big final? There's clearly a revival. They had their great days, then the women took over and the men didn't. Now they're back.
The other absentees here, of course, Poland, the defending world champions, taking a rest from Lucerne, world champions for the past 2 seasons, but they'll be in action for sure in Munich. Nicely away, and just the French just in lane 3, just losing a little bit there in the first 20 strokes.
Interestingly, most of the crews at about 43, 44, which is a couple of pips lower than most of the women's quads at the same strokes numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7. That part of the race when you're really winding the boat up once you've got it moving off dead start, and they're using more power and more leverage and less rating to achieve their objectives. And over there in lane 2, it looks like the Russians, who surprised us all with that extraordinary race in Athens when they took the gold medal, suddenly back on form.
Well, they've got this very talented junior Alexander Kornilov, who's in the 3 seat, sitting in front of Alexei Svidin, who is the Olympic gold medalist from the 4, the one survivor. But France, who were quickest in terms of time to get into the semi-finals, they were the only crew to break 5:50, a little bit off the pace, now beginning to find their rhythm and put themselves back into contention now, alongside the Czech Republic. Through the first 500 meters, and it is Russia from the Czech Republic. On the far side, Germany, René Burmeister in the stroke seat for the Germans in lane number 1. Then the French recovering after losing position, and now with that trio making a foursome on the far side, and very, very close between those 4 crews. On the near side here, Italy and then Romania.
But this is also very stretched. We're less than 2 minutes into the race, and already we've got between leaders and 5th place, we've got a length of open water, if not more.
Quite interesting talking to 1 or 2 of the Czechs, Hugh. They feel that this was a long time in coming, that the experimentation with Chalupa and Jolacek, which we talked about earlier on in the day, that, you know, Chalupa really, after 20 years doing everything his way on his own, it doesn't really work.
He was in the quad in 1988 in Seoul, which finished 11th overall as a young man. And he got out of that into the single and started winning silver medals. He won 5 on the trot, I think, from 1989 onwards. So it may be not that he can't adapt at this old age, but that he was always an awkward cuss in a boat with anybody else.
Huge power.
And he had very powerful and a lovely sculler. No, he'd sculled beautifully, but he sat very upright. He sculled in the single, much as quadruple scullers tend, same style, same technique as a quadruple sculler, and he continued with that all the way through. But I think he may actually just be naturally his own man and not able to adapt to another crew.
And it is David Yerke in the stroke seat there, but Jakob Hanek Thomas Cabas. Those are the trio of Olympic silver medalists. Peter Pitasek is the man in the bow who joins this quartet as they go past the enclosures, and vying for the advantage, it is Russia. Russia and the Czech Republic separated by just a third of a second, 0.32 at the 1,000 metre mark between those two crews. France, a couple of seconds off the pace. Italy with Simone Ranieri, Rossano Caltarossa, Simone Venier and Luca Gezzi, and again bags of experience in the quadruple scull for Italy, who've been so successful on so many big occasions, but not in recent years.
Not in recent years. They should be better at Lucerne. This is their first regatta of the season. They should know, they should have tapered for it, they should know how it fits into the programme, and they're not looking at all happy there. It does look to be Czech's day, but watch for that Russian crew. It's a very small stern pair. You talked about Alexander Kornilov and Mikhail Bekuam-Fancy with a Russian mother and an African father in the stroke seat, much smaller than most of the men around him, and certainly than the bow pair, as you can see, both wearing hats, sitting much taller than the stern pair in that Russian crew, and they are closing on Czech Republic.
Yeah, France also beginning to put themselves very much into the race here, and don't rule out the French here, because the French, you can just see them, they're between the Czech Republic, who are closest to you, Russia on the far side, and then also on the premises there, Germany in lane one. And the race, the whole race has been over that far side from us, as we are sitting opposite the big and expensive grandstands.
At the last marker, the 1500 metre marker, the graphic on the screen gave Russia as in front, and I think they genuinely are now. I'm sure at that time Czech Republic was still in front. A couple of the Czechs looking across to see what the Russians are doing, and the Russians now pulling sweetly into the lead without doing an awful lot of work about it. But France coming up the middle between the two, and it could be unlucky Czech.
Yeah, have a look at the Russians. It is extraordinary if you actually look at the difference in sizes between the stern men and the bow pair in that Russian quad.
But they're piling it on and taking a large distance every stroke. So we've now got Czechs and France, with France going through very smoothly there. But it is, as we go into the last 100 metres, definitely Russia's moment, with France closing on them, but Czechs in third place.
Yeah, Russia, French just maybe just a little late in pushing. They're pushing very hard now, but they're just going to miss out there. Russia, France, the Czech Republic, and then on the far side, Germany into fourth place, ahead of Italy, and Romania will cross the line in sixth place.
That was down to about 1.5 meters on the line. Russians being hauled back by France, but the French move, they had it. They had 2,000 meters in which to get their game plan sorted out, and they did leave it too late. Had they got enough, maybe they just did all they possibly could. But a very smooth performance from the Russians, who were behind until 250 meters to go, and then just cruised through.
I've got a funny feeling, Hugh, you've made the point about the French taking the long game, and the tapering hasn't begun, and they'll find more pace, but they'll all need to, because they've got to break one of the grittiest crews around, and that's Adam Corral